Welcome everyone to a casted game of Age of Empires 4, and today spawning in the northwest corner of the map, playing in teal, we've got Demu representing Team Liquid as the Order of the Dragon. And his opponent in the southeast, playing in purple, we've got Baloo playing as the Byzantines. Welcome everyone to Hidden Valley. That is the map for today, featuring 2 Civilizations of the Sultans Ascend DLC. Boy oh boy, is this going to be a banger. I feel like both civilizations can be very strong in the late game, in particular the Byzantines. The Order of the Dragon, people have their doubts about it. Well, Demu today is going to try and dispel some of those doubts. 2 very interesting civilizations in many ways. I feel like the Order of the Dragon as a variant civilization, a lot of people overlook actually how different it is. Like, I know people feel like, okay, it's not that much different, same sort of similar landmarks, and the only thing that's kind of different is the villages are a bit more expensive, take longer to train. No, specific. Let's go to the specific. So it takes 10 extra food to train a villager, a dragon villager, versus a regular one. And it takes 4 seconds extra to train as well. But bear in mind, they do have an extra 25% efficiency of gathering resources and also a good 20% faster building capability. These dragon villagers, they were made different. Speaking about made different, they're going to be building up the Minework Palace. That's the landmark of choice here for Demu. Very commonly chosen this landmark actually for the Order of the Dragon. People aren't really favouring the Ark and Chapel, and for good reason. It only gives you 10% extra buffering on the village gathering. But bear in mind that also the villagers as a base rate are gathering 25% faster anyway. So it's pretty decent, but a lot of people are not really favouring the Ark and Chapel. Now, speaking of economy, the Byzantines, they do obviously have a lot of their economy focused around the cistern. The cistern, lots of bonuses attributed to it, depending on the water level. They need to be connected to each other to get that water level up. And when they do, it can not only increase the villager rate of gathering, it increases per tier, but it'll also be able to increase the military production speed, also the research, and also reduce the amount of damage that you take on buildings. Obviously, if the system is toggled to it. Now, each system can be toggled individually, so it's important to micromanage that part of your economy if you're playing as the Byzantines. Going to go up with the Grand Winery landmark, which is, I think it's a nice landmark in many ways. I was always kind of thinking about which one's the best, and I have to say the Byzantines. I feel like both landmarks can be very viable, depending on the matchup, depending on the situation. Obviously, the Grand Winery, I feel like... The thing about the Grand Winery, though, is that the Imperial Hippodrome offers you something that you cannot get elsewhere, right? The Grand Winery, on the other hand, it kind of boosts up what you already can get. And it's a big boost. It's a 60% extra olive oil on the berry bushes and the olive groves, which is incredibly strong as a power spike inside the mid to late game. But when you really think about it, if the game goes super late game, where resources aren't really an issue, the benefit of the olive grove kind of extra olive oil isn't necessarily all that huge unless you're running out of gold, and then it can be. But if you're super banked up on resources, actually the Imperial Hippodrome, if you're using heavily cavalry based army, with that trample damage, it can be very powerful. But we'll see how the Byzantines decide to play this one out. We'll have to see. So just to let you guys know as well, for both these civilizations, there's been some chat in the Twitch chat that some people may be looking for some builds. If you haven't found some already, I do have some on the channel, on my YouTube channel, so it's worth checking out. Especially for the Byzantines. There's one feudal age aggression for the Order of the Dragon. I might start working on some more. Maybe on a fast castle, because fast castle is actually very popular for the Order of the Dragon, as is 2 town centers, which is the play here for Demu here. Can we try and getting on the deer camp, but Baloo being a bit annoying. I might try and push as many of those deer camps away. Demu might be, he might want to actually shoot the deer camp, yeah. He's going to shoot them now to make sure they don't go too far out. But a bit of idle time being caused here because of this, and that's not going to be any greatness for the efficiency. Might even drop a mill there later on in the game, if he needs to. Now, Baloo also opting for a second town center, so it's going to be a very slow start, but guys, let me know if you've been enjoying the content so far on the channel, because I can tell you this one's going to be a banger. As I say, I generally only upload content on YouTube if it's been a good game. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you know it's a good game. Now, both players are starting with 2 TCs, so it's going to be a bit slow to go and get going, right? So be patient, because once you do get the economy for both players, I can tell you now, this game is going to rock. It's going to be in the mid-late game that's probably going to end, because obviously both players on 2 town centers. If it's a totally different story if one player is on 1 town center being aggressive and vice versa. But it's going to be a massive eco-fest with these 2 civilizations, which is kind of nice to see. It might be a bit of a challenge for the relics as well, because the Order of the Dragon behind is probably going to go for that fast castle. Maybe Raven's Cathedral, possibly. But it does feel like the Byzantines should get to that castle age a little bit quicker. Especially when you factor in he should be on a decent water level now. Water level 2. Although, having said that, it might be 2 town centers into feudal age aggression. Both civilizations can do just that as well, pretty well. We'll have to see. Now, whilst we wait for the second town center to build, and whilst we wait for some action, I'd like to say a very big thank you for everyone supporting the channel, whether it be on YouTube or Twitch. I'm streaming on live Twitch quite often these days. I've probably even noticed me saying that in a lot of my recent videos. But if you do want to jump on a live stream and chat in between games, make sure you check out the video description. I'll leave a link in the video description of my Twitch channel. And if you're watching on Twitch, hey, look, I love the fact that you guys are sticking around and enjoying the content. But if you do want to see games offline as well on YouTube, maybe, I don't know if you're into that thing, maybe check out the YouTube channel. I gotta say, maybe the Twitch channels guys tend to want to watch things live, so you know, it is what it is. Yo, Beer Hugger, thank you for the bits. I really appreciate that. It's very, very kind of you. Very, very kind of you. I'm actually hoping to, I mean, I don't want to, yeah, I'll say I'd love to go full time in terms of content creation. I mean, a lot of it will be Age of Empires. That's obviously my main focus. But it's very difficult to go full time as content creator. But I'm obviously going to be sprinkling in a couple of other RTS games like Stormgate and Zero Space, which will be coming out pretty soon. But I'm super excited for Age of Empires 4 in particular because it's just got so much potential now with all these new civilizations. It's kind of crazy, I gotta say, because like I know I've said it a few times on the streams, but there's not a lot of action going on right now. So I just want to say it. The new civilizations are absolutely phenomenal. When you factor in that there are 6 new variant civilizations, well, 4 new variant civilizations, 2 brand new ones. Okay, some things are a little bit overpowered, but as a first shot, as a patch, it's going to fix that. And I think these civilizations are fantastic. It's almost like a game in and of itself. I feel it has really changed Age of Empires and has really improved things to a significant level. It's not like it's just an extra 1 or 2 civilizations. There's 6 of them. It's incredible. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to see where Age of Empires goes. I think the next step is going to be like custom games and modded games. I think it's got to be the next step to try and focus on for the community. But yeah, the custom editor is not that easy to use, I imagine. At least I've tried, but I'm not hugely tech savvy in that regard, so it's a bit tricky. In any case, with the game in particular, we've got a couple of Limitani heading forward just to see what value they can get. There is an early Gilded Man at Arms, and that's something really nice with the Order Dragon. Of course, it's very difficult for the Byzantines to counter that. It needs to get some ranged units. Can't really engage melee versus melee against that, because these guys, they're something else. 230 HP, 14 melee damage. Factor in 100 HP and 8 damage. You're going to really need a lot of the Limitani there to deal with that. Has extended itself to water level 3 now, and I would say that his second town centre, the Byzantines, is a little bit more exposed than the Order of the Dragons. And so if there is feudal age pressure, feudal age aggression, it might be a bit difficult for Baloo to defend that. At least it would be more difficult than, say, Demu will have for his second town centre of the Order of the Dragon. And just 2 man-at-arms will push this back. And the thing that's actually quite interesting about the Order of the Dragon, I think I didn't actually mention it, about how different they can be about the original civilizations, is because the fact that these units are so much tankier, right? And it changes the dynamic of a fight. Like, the unit numbers you kind of expect in a fight, and who would win what, it's completely skewed now because of the fact that these guys are such powerhouses. And so you've got to be a lot more careful about taking fights against the Order of the Dragon. It makes things very snowbally as well. Like, if you lose a unit for the Order of the Dragon, it's kind of devastating. They're very expensive to replace, and it gives your opponent a lot of time to really mess up numbers. That can be really devastating if you're not ready for it. But speaking about being ready for it, Demu is getting a lot of production buildings. He's getting himself ready for a good feudal age push. He's getting upgrades as well from the Minoc Palace. And they're going to be cheaper as well, don't forget. 40% cheaper and research 40% faster. Now behind all of this, bear in mind that actually Baloo's actually starting to wall up the relics. He's always cognizant, of course, of the potential Regnitz Cathedral play from the Order of the Dragon. He won't want to let the Order of the Dragon get too many relics. It's always a concern, right? You don't want that to happen because, you know, the relics with the Regnitz Cathedral is pretty devastating for the Order of the Dragon. It's starting to mass up a bit of longbow, so that does tell you what he's gone for. He's gone for the Western Mercenary contract. We'll give him access to the Longbowman, the Landsknechter, and also the Streltsy in the late game if it gets that far, but I'm pretty sure it will because of the way these two people are playing at the moment. Very macro heavy game so far. And so both players itching towards that castle age. The Byzantines will get there faster, of course. He's almost there. There it is. There's a Golden Horn Tower. We'll be giving him 3 units as mercenaries. Now, demu might be thinking about going to the castle age himself, but it doesn't all have that much food, right? It's so expensive to produce these villages. There's something to be cognizant of, because it will take him some time to get to that castle age. Let's take a look at the income, though. It's a solid income for demu. But I love this detail, though. Baloo, he has walled up all the relics as well, which is kind of crazy, because he's going to get to the castle age faster. But behind this could be a pretty good strong hit for demu. This is concerning for Baloo, because obviously demu's committing to that feudal age push. And with Baloo having pumped a lot of resources into that castle age, it means it doesn't necessarily have the military numbers to defend against this. And we talked about how the second town centre is kind of relatively exposed, and this could be the first port of call for the Order of the Dragon to attack and pressure. It seems like it's doing just that there, demu. Moving further forward, and New Age does begin for Baloo. Gets to that castle age, it will allow him access to crossbows though, so that'll certainly help, and also the veterancy. This could be good timing for Baloo if he can just get those upgrades in and push this back, but the question is, will he lose the second town centre in the meantime? This is going to be quite critical in this stage of the game, actually, because losing this town centre is not going to be good for him. It's going to be taking down the aqueduct. I don't know how I feel about this for demu. I feel like he probably should just focus on the town centre, because sure, he's going to reduce the sister and water level. Although, having said that, to be fair, it does affect the whole network, right? So it's down to water level 2, and now he's going to be quite confident about taking this town centre down. Only has one unit garrison inside, and speaking of units, well, Baloo going to be trying to pressurize the situation. Coming in from the right, going to be sniping off a couple of the dragon archers, but you can see how much arrow fire they actually absorb. Does lose a villager, but I think he probably prefers to lose a villager than the longbows. Trying to use the range as much as he can, but the man-at-arms, early gilded man-at-arms, that's going to be a pain to deal with. Torching down the town centre, kind of focusing on two fronts here, using the dragon archers to focus on the longbows, the man-at-arms to focus on the town centre. Going to try and burn this up, but village coming in from the south, try and repair, and he will get the repairs. Wait, is he out repairing? Yeah, he's actually just about keeping it alive. And this is a problem for demu, because now those archers, those dragon archers, fall down, and now he's going to be kited by these longbowmen, which are veteran longbowmen. They're going to do well against the gilded man-at-arms, which are in the early status. They're still feudal age army. The concern for demu, whilst he did some damage, he didn't take out the town centre, and now he's low on numbers. He's taking up to the next stage with the Regnus Cathedral. And the issue with that is that, well, there's a timing here for Baloo. Because obviously, now demu's obviously committed a lot of resources into that castle age. He's going to lose these units because he can't get out of there. Like, the speed is just not there for these units to retreat. And what a time for demu to lose his army. And behind all of this, Baloo might be starting to consider getting those relics. It certainly should be. Does he have a monastery? I think we heard it just there. There it is. He's got the monastery. He's got double monastery. He's really going for those relics, and it's something that demu's going to have to try and contest if he can. Now, demu has two options. Well, he's going to be trying to pump out man-at-arms, which is a good thing, I think. Maybe archers as well. They might hold him for now. And the good thing for demu is that the Order of the Dragon, their army is pretty scalable, right? So the archers are incredibly strong. It's probably one of the best units for the Order of the Dragon. And obviously he can build them out now. He doesn't have to wait for that castle age tech. You know, there are some units for some civilizations, for example, the Byzantines, they have to get Varangian guards. If they want to get Varangian guards, they have to actually wait for that castle age to be in there. In the meantime, demu's been able to reproduce and start to build that army again, and now he's going to be walling up here as well on the east side, in front of the sacred site. Interesting enough, it looks like Baloo was trying to wall up in front of him, both trying to carve up the map a little bit, trying to get that map control. On the west side, though, this is an issue for demu. We're going to try and get a circle around, try and cut off the army's escape, but they will escape through this west side part of the forest, and it should be able to make it home. And well, demu can't chase, but what he can do is start to wall up, and he's walled us up. Wait, there are villagers, they snuck through. They managed to get through in the end. Does have a prelate there. Wolfgar's gonna... Oh, it's not prelate, that's a villager. Well, anyway, the walls go up. The good thing for Baloo, though, he's walled this up, which is going to be delaying the ability for demu to get that relic. It's kind of funny if he gets this palisade up, though. So I don't think demu's noticed that. The west side, here's the engagement. Man-at-arms diving in there. I wasn't expecting that for demu. I was expecting to go home. Lance Connector going to be taking those apart, and he will lose critical units numbers. And don't forget, each unit lost for the Order of the Dragon is pretty significant. A little bit less significant if you've got a second town centre, but you know. There we are. But on the east side, well, the walls are pretty much up and running, and he's going to need to... Wait, he's going to try and... Wait, well, what is that? Okay, well, unfortunately for him, the monk will go down, isn't able to withstand the pressure from the shivs of the villagers. Did he nab that relic? Holy moly, he actually nabbed the relic. Wait, what is he doing? Okay, he can't escape, right? So he's going to place him inside. That's actually kind of smart. Baloo He's going to put them inside the walls and keep them safe for a later time. But yeah, it's kind of funny. I mean, Demu's just going to build an outpost and garrison inside to kill the monk, but he's delayed things, right? But he's done what he needed to do in some senses. And if he can actually get some military there on the east side, he'll be absolutely fine. The trouble for him is that a lot of his military is on the west side. Makes it a bit tricky. Oh, Wallow. Oh, villagers have to, oh, he didn't do it in time, right? He wasn't paying attention. He could have done that a little bit earlier, but the villagers do garrison inside the outpost. The outpost will... Oh, he's going to keep inside. Yeah, he's got to get inside. Thankfully he did get inside. Which meant that it's going to be a bit tricky for Demu to get inside and get those relics, especially because he's walling up on the other side of it. So he's going to have to torch everything down. It's probably worth it, though, because he did go up the Relics Cathedral, right? Yeah, he did. Yeah. So it's definitely going to be worth it for him to get those relics if he can. Can you building those... There's no relic inside there, Demu. On the west side, Longbow's going to be focusing on the Dragon Archers, and well, there's a couple of Varangian guards going to try and chase down the Dragon Archers. Pretty decent trade there for Baloo, although he's getting caught in the south, and that's great play by the Demu to get this around. Gilded Archer's going to pick this apart, and well, Demu's going to win this fight quite cleanly. Varangian guards, only 2 of them. They won't be able to hold that line, and the Longbows do get sniped from the Dragon Archers from the south, and great play there by Demu. He's not one of the best players in the world for no reason. And it was a very good cleanup. Now, that's actually kind of scary for Baloo. 61 military population for the Order of the Dragon versus just the 20. And it means he's going to push in on the west. On the east side, it's pretty static. A lot of static defenses. So I think a lot of the focus of attack is going to be on the west side and looking to get that sacred site. Now, bear in mind that Baloo has got 2 of the relics so far. 2 are stuck inside the palisade walls here. Makes it more difficult for Demu. And the last remaining relic is in the middle, which no one can get until quite a significant period of time. And the concern for Baloo is if Demu does dive this wood line, it could be a lot of problems here. And it's going to take down the aqueduct system again, but here's the production, and the concern for Baloo is it's going to put this production forward. It's going to be the focus for Demu to try and attack if he gets there. He's going to try and break through the walls with the outpost. It does have a spring on replacement, but bringing guards on the east side. And a couple of crossbows might secure this area, actually. Kind of interesting enough, it doesn't necessarily have enough to take out the outpost, but it might soon. The funny thing is the Dragon Archer does actually range that village on the wood line. It's going to dive in though, on the south. This is where the main engagement comes in. The Varangian guards trying to focus on the archers as much as possible. There is a mangonel which is being repaired by the Byzantine villagers. Absolutely fantastic play to keep that mangonel alive. We've seen it time and time again, and well, the Dragon Archer is going to try and get on top of it. This could be bad though for Baloo. Might lose a lot of villagers. Villagers are fighting. Mangonel's still alive. He's repairing really well, and this is a great fight for Baloo in the end. Although, is it? Because the Dragon Archers, they're so strong. And I think the Dragon Archers might come up top. Even with the mangonel in play, I think the Dragon Archer's camping right on top of the mangonel. Obviously, the mangonel has a minimum range. It is being blocked in, and I think Demu's going to get a lot of value out of this. But defender's advantage for the Byzantines will clear this up. But damage has been done. He's lost quite a lot of villagers there. 34 have been killed so far. Baloo down to 63 villagers. A great pick off there by Demu. The concern, though, is for Baloo, having lost that number of villagers, like you never want to be behind villager counts, then the Order of the Dragon is kind of a bad situation if that's the case. Does have his second town site still up and running, but that was a wild number of villager kills. Holy moly, 38 in total. Baloo struggled to hold that off. It just shows you the power of the Order of the Dragon, those units. And he was a great play as well, by the way, just to dive on top of that mangonel. It could have been a different story. The mangonel didn't really get as much value as he would have wanted there, Baloo. Wasn't able to keep it firing off where he needed to. But this is a bit of an issue for Demu, though, because the pushback is coming. Baloo with the production speed of the water level 2, which is not all that much, actually, to be fair. I was expecting to be a bit more. Yeah, it's going to be water level 4 now. And the economy is going to be able to push back fast. On the east side, we're actually getting villagers to get stoned. I would have liked to have seen him actually burn this down. There's 2 relics inside here, by the way. That's a lot of gold to be brought in. That's, what, 160 each per minute? I mean, to be fair, he would have to idle the villagers to get that, but it's probably worth it, right? Especially if the game is going to go super late. But a question in chat, who is Baloo? Well, Baloo, I believe, is Numadan. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it's Numadan. He was obviously a very high level, well, he's obviously going to be a high level player, that's for sure. But, you know, we know Numadan pretty well. He's going to be definitely giving Demu a run for his money if he can. And I wonder whether... Oh, he's got 2 monks here ready and waiting to try and get through and pick up those relics. Could be neutralizing that sacred site on the west side, just cutting off a bit of gold income, although Demu wants to stop that happening. We shall see if he manages to. Quite a large force there for Blue, and it does have 3 mangonels, which is a little bit concerning for Demu. Wonder if he's going to invest in a couple of springalds. We shall see. Doesn't necessarily have to. If he can get on top of it like he did before, he'd be fine at dealing with it. But as you're coming out to rebel, I love this detail, right? This is often what separates a lot of the, I guess, higher level players than everyone else. This kind of attention to detail, keeping units alive for as long as possible, which is actually something the Order of Dragon is very keen on doing as well, with every unit being so expensive. Speaking of expensive, well, Baloo's going to try and make this an expensive loss of the army for Demu if he can catch up with it. Ringing Guards almost look to chase. Does have the berserking ability. That will help him chase. Doesn't decide to deploy it just yet. On the east side, here comes a trebuchet to take out the outpost. And this could be a nice smash and grab. Demu not really getting those relics. He's kind of missed that opportunity now, which is a bit of a shame. Because now it looks like Blue might be getting on top of that. But behind all of this, by the way, Palace of Swabia is being built by Demu, which is going to be a great powerhouse production building of villages, at least. Because this is going to really scale that economy for the Order of the Dragon. Now, if you thought that the HRE version of this was a bit crazy, well, it's even better for the Palace of Swabia. Bearing in mind that this landmark increases or gives you bonuses in terms of percentages. If you have a higher base of cost or a higher base of research time or production time, obviously the percentage is going to be giving you much larger raw number discount. So the Palace of Swabia for the Order of the Dragon really hits a sweet spot for scaling that economy. Going to be getting the university as well, and don't forget it's actually cheaper to get to the Imperial Age now because of that for the Order of the Dragon. Baloo stuck in the Castle Age for now. He's got to think about a way to get to that Imperial Age. In the north. Well, Bringing Guards going to try and get some value, but not be able to get too much. That's a large army there. Adding in a couple of Dragon Hand Cannoneers, 250 HP with 38 base damage. These guys, take a look at the flipping hand cannon. I gotta say the skins, like the way the units look for the Order of the Dragon and all the civilizations that are new, actually, to be fair, they're so good. In any case, on the north of the map, Bringing Guards trying to pressurize, forcing Demu to get a keep on the farming transition, which is quite extensive, by the way. It's going to be a nice bit of food income. 2,400 food per minute. Kind of crazy. So a couple of questions in chat whether it the Palace of Swabia works any different. No, it doesn't. It's exactly the same. But except from the fact that obviously it's the same percentages, but because the base rate of villagers' cost and training time is more for the Dragon villagers, you get more of a discount with this Palace of Swabia than when you compare it to the HRE. Which is incredibly strong. It's going to scale that economy to the population capacity very quickly. Of course, the other option would be an Ellsback Palace, which would offer some static defenses. We've got a... Speaking of static defenses, well, Baloo's getting a keep to protect his economy. So we're getting to that stage of the game where it could be quite late game. We're getting to that stage where both players are opting for that late game. And I wonder how this is going to go, because I feel like Byzantines have one of the strongest late games on the whole game of Age of Empires. Zatharas coming in for the bits. Thank you, dude. Almost every time you're here. I really appreciate the support. It's very kind of you. It goes a long way. 3 mangonels on a trebuchet. And a dream for the Byzantines. Now bear in mind it's getting a keep at the center, so we'll be looking to get that relic that's there. It's going to place the relic inside the keep as well. It's going to be a really good stronghold point to defend, and Demu might even think about pressuring in the middle. Although most of his army's on the, was on the west. Where are they going off to now? No, they're still on the west. But it's also going to give him that sacred site. There's a potential for sacred site victory here for Demu. He does decide to get the one on the right, but the smash and grab there earlier on for those 2 relics for Baloo makes things a bit tricky, because there's 4 relics in play for the Byzantines. The Byzantines do get to the Imperial Age now with the Palatine School. We're getting some free units every so often. There's a 30% chance when training Limitane, Varangian Guards, Cataphracts or Chirosyphons to also get one of those units from this landmark. When you factor in, if you actually make Cataphracts, it's such a good saving, right? Because Cataphracts are very expensive. Oh, well, Demu, he smells blood. This is an interesting stage of the game and how you think about it. Because, of course, when you take up the next stage, it leaves you the most exposed. You've just spent a lot of resources to get there. You won't necessarily have that resources for military. And Demu knows it. And he's going to pressurize with these elite Gilded Knights. His elite Man-at-Arms. The elite Dragon Hand Cannoneers. Not much happening on the right side. Not much happening in the middle. Although these outposts is actually going to make things a bit difficult for Baloo to gather wood. He's going to have to go elsewhere. He does have some wood in the south, but this second town centre is going to go down in a blink of an eye. Unless he decides to engage in a fight, but we shall see. Does he feel ready yet? Doesn't have the elite upgrades just yet. I think Belu needs to wait on. He doesn't have the upgrades he needs. A bit of time. A couple of seconds, and then he can take the fight. We'll lose the town centre in the end. Good snipe off there by Demu. Gotta go down south now. I have to say that Belu, though, does have 101 villages already, so maybe the importance of that second town centre is not all that great unless there's a load of raiding happening, right? Because he needs to reproduce the villages if he does lose them. And Demu starting to pressurize. This is looking a bit suffocating for the Byzantines. Sending a couple of knights there. Got to be careful. That's not going to be enough Limitane. Only 4 Limitane to deal with those 2 knights. It's not going to be enough, and those villages will go down. But this is the main fight in the front. 3 mangonels deploy. About to engage. A couple of longbows there. Huge amounts of aggression. Mangonels do deploy. Get a good hit on those infantry. Demu has to be careful. Going to tank on the front line with the man-at-arms. With the hand cannon is behind them. Knight's going to charge in from the back. Mangonels need to be protected. The Varangian Guard's going to get on top of that. One knight tries to get around on the west side. Doesn't quite make it. He blocks him in. He encamps him in. And he's going to hack and slash him away. But the problem is, man-at-arms coming in from the south. They're going to go right on top of the Mangonels. Makes it very difficult now for the Byzantines to hold on. The longbowmen have to back away. The man-at-arms dealing out all sorts of damage. And this is a good push by Demu. It feels like he wins this. It's super, super tough. Belu needs to back away. He needs to keep that mangonel alive if he can, but it's static. It's not moving. Now it starts to move, but it might be too little too late. Unless he gets some villagers to repair, he won't be able to. I think the mangonel goes down in the end, and that means the damage output for the Byzantines is going to be reducing quite significant. The man-at-arms going right on top of those longbowmen. And this is looking rough for Belu. He's down to 35 miniature population, and he is going to be pushed back. And I'm not sure what even happened to those knights in the end. We couldn't look in the area. It looks like a couple of Limitane probably took them apart, and the hand cannoneers starting to come out now for the Byzantines. But the man-at-arms jumping right on top of it. And this is a great push by the Order of the Dragon. Even with the mangonel placement inside the keep, he's still fighting with those man-at-arms. Just show you how strong these guys are. All of a sudden, Belu does have that defender's advantage, does have a nice number of units back at home. And he should be able to clear this up in the end. In the middle, chopping through the wood, Byzantine villagers have to back away. There's a cannon in placement. Just killed a lot of villagers there. Oh my god. There's a massacre. And this is where things become a little bit tricky for Belu, right? Because he lost that second town centre. So his ability to replace those villagers has significantly dropped. He does have enough stone and wood to drop multiple town centres. That might be the play. And I wonder whether Demu makes a mad dash for the middle. On the left side, oh my god, this is a massacre. Belu, he doesn't get out of there. He recognises it too late and his body blocked out of there. Oh, that's a massacre on the goal vein. Demu riding in with those cavalry, wiping out a massive chunk of the economy for the Byzantines. Down to 75 villagers. Going to lose this keep now as well, for sure. He doesn't have boiling oil. This is looking rough for the Byzantines. In the middle, though, does have a mangonel placement, which is a really nice touch. Belu with one outpost does push those villagers back, and it forces Demu to find wood elsewhere, which he does have plenty of on the west side, and even on the north. Get stone walls here on the east side. Belu, he's recognizing he needs to focus. He needs to focus hard on the middle. What I got to say though, for Demu, if he did get the sacred site a lot earlier, he probably could have won the game by now. Keep coming on that gold. This is critical though, by the way, because the gold is an important resource on the map, and Demu going to be taking this gold, which he has no right to, really. But he will take it. Belu, I mean, one thing to consider though for Belu is not totally over not having access to gold. They get access to olive oil, which can be a nice gold substitute if you factor in. Oh no, it doesn't really, because he didn't go for the landmark. He didn't go for that siege landmark that you can spend olive oil just to get those units. But he does block them in. He gets the quick walls there as well, traps a lot of the horsemen. And that's the problem. Those horsemen won't get all the much damage. Gets absolutely snared by the Limitane. A couple do right through, but the palisade walls come in the right time. A couple of the villagers might go down. Might need to delete the palisade walls now to get those villagers on the other side, but the Limitane are going to trap a lot of them. Great play there by the Byzantines. He might have just swung things back in his favour. A great clear up. A fantastic play by the Byzantines. And only one of those horsemen survives. But what a great quick wall there in the end for Belu. And all of a sudden, things have swung around the other way once again. I did tell you guys at the beginning of the game this would be a banger. You just have to trust me. Has stoned walled up, and this is a smart move, right? Because he needs to be careful, Belu. Like, he has a stronger civilization, arguably in many ways, in the late game, but he's got to get there, right? He can't afford any raids coming in from the east side. It can be very devastating. He's focusing very heavily on the west. he might need to try and focus on this gold, because a lot of gold is being swept up by these villagers. Almost half the gold gone. And I wonder whether either player starts to think about trade. Of course, it'll probably be the Byzantines trying to get trade, but Demu is focusing on the south border, which means that if any trade was looking to be set up, it would be very tricky for it to be established. Going to get some palisade walls just to give them a measure of security, but with this number of melee units, torch damage could be an issue. There's a lot of army here for the Byzantines. Going to engage with the Limitani on the front line, bracing with the hand cannons on the back. And well, this is an issue for Demu. He's going to tank with the Manitans, but I'm not so sure how much value he gets. Gets a couple of the knights go around the back to try and jump on the hand cannoneers. Should be okay, but the dragon hand cannoneers for Demu should be clearing up most of this up. And I mean, this is a decent fight in the end for the Byzantines. The hand cannoneers making a real meal of this. And Demu might need to back away now because he's not got all that much. The Byzantines do push this back. Going to try and save as many of these hand cannoneers as he possibly can. Down in the middle of the map. Not much is happening. Stonewalled on the east side of the map. A couple of farms coming up there for Demu. Does have access to the gold here in the north if he wishes, but this is smart. Blue actually trying to deny this with a couple of ringing guards. Obviously, it wouldn't take him too long to clear up, but speaking of clear ups, well, Demu loses his army in the south. As we head into the 32nd minute of the game, gets a keep and a couple of siege workshops to protect that area. Maybe Demu's thinking about a push here on the south side, and it might be a good time to. Blue, though, he's holding on for now, but the question is, he's been on the defensive for quite some time. It comes a point in the game where he needs to be aggressive. It does have Streltsy coming up, a fantastic late game unit. Does have town centers as well, which we talked about a little bit earlier. He lost a lot of villagers, has to replace them, of course, and he's doing just that with the second town center. And bear in mind, he does have 4 relics as well, which is incredibly important. But Demu not getting that sacred site, it means that it doesn't activate that win condition, potential win condition. That would force the Byzantines out, right? Because if he actually capped the sacred site, it'd force Bulu to invest in some military there. And that would give him some time to focus in the main fight on the west side, potentially. Water level 5 means that the villagers will be working incredibly efficiency. 25% to be to similar to, well, the same as the dragon villagers at this point. Of course, the production speed is super, super strong. And I think the defender's advantage in that sense for the Byzantines is incredibly strong. It reminds you of the English in many ways, like, you know, in different ways, though. Obviously, you know, the Akrotoi for the villagers, get the defensive bonuses. In terms of economy, 25% is pretty strong, and the farms, well, I guess the olive groves is, I guess, a secondary resource. Reminds you of the English enclosures. Obviously, the English get food and gold, while the Byzantines get food and olive oil. And they seem to play in a similar sort of way, very strong in the late game in many ways, although I'd say the tempo aggression for the English is probably a bit of aggressive capabilities there that the Byzantines maybe don't have, but that's not relevant at this point because, well, we see the dragon villagers at the back have supplied the Order of the Dragon with a lot of military on the front lines, and we've got a couple of knights diving in. Limitani bracing and holding against that hand cannoneers, dragon hand cannoneers behind them. You see some Siphons looking to move forward, maybe to take out the keeps that were there on the gold vein, but the Streltsy getting so much value. It's got to be careful though, Baloo, not to lose everything, because this is a large army for the Order of the Dragon. Does have the defender's advantage. So if anyone's going to be pulling away, it's got to be the Order. And all of a sudden, the Limitani looking at strong numbers. He does push this back. Down to 27 military population. The Trebuchet will have to back off because I think this is a strong push from Baloo. I mean, what does Demu have to stop this? Not a lot. Now, 6 Siphons, by the way. That will burn things down very quickly. This is looking dicey for Demu. I don't think he has enough. Does have a Mangonel pop out. Had a pretty good time, but Baloo was paying attention. He spotted it in the end and does back away. But what I say, 81 fill kills for Demu is a little bit insane. Well, there we are. Siphon burning things down. The Order of the Dragon need to actually get some water on the map because they're going to be burning to the ground here. They keep going to be going down pretty soon if he doesn't get on top of this Demu. Does he see that cavalry from the east? He doesn't until now. But the Limitani do brace, and now it takes the engagement. They keep there. Going to be protecting somewhat against the knights, but the knights tanking a lot. The main thing is got a lot of Limitani, which definitely helps the Byzantines. And behind this, I mean, Demu can't stop the Siphons, right? He's focusing on the military first. He has to. Going to try and raid with a couple of knights. I don't think we'll follow that because at the end of the day, Limitani should deal with that. This is where the main fight is. Mangonel deploys against the infantry. Mangonel's still alive, and Byzantines have to deal with that quickly before they lose too many units. Does burn through the keep in the end, and that siege workshop. More Siphon popping through, and Baloo, he should be winning this fight once again. Back at the base, does he lose more villagers though? They're still running around, those knights, picking off some villagers when they can. On the east side, not a lot's going on. On the west side, that's where the action is. Down the south, a knight just focusing on the cistern. Maybe a move there a little bit. Demu though, starting to pick up pace again. One man get down on a trebuchet and a dream. Baloo with a large army though. It's an awkward situation, right? Because look at the population supply of army. It's pretty much neck and neck. If you look at the raw numbers, the army numbers don't match up, right? It's what I was talking about earlier in the cast, how it's very tricky to judge the game, to judge the fights when you're going up against the Order of the Dragon, just because they're built different. Makes things very tricky. Well, speaking of tricky, the aqueduct system does need to be repaired. If this goes down, that'll decrease that water level. He's leaking water at this point, and Demu knows it. He's going to try and burn down the aqueduct and cause some damage to the Byzantine economy, and does just that. It backs away for now. Oh, this is a tricky situation. A lot of army. The trouble for the Order of the Dragon, right? He only has one trebuchet, so he's not going to do like critical damage to the infrastructure, and that's the key bit of detail. Because once the army does go down for Baloo, he can replace it. He's got defender's advantage. Speaking of that, he might need to do that soon, because a lot of these Nematane are dying on the front lines, but the man-at-arm numbers aren't holding for Demu. And he's going to go right on top of those hand cannoneers, and the Streltsy getting so much value. I think the Streltsy really winning the game at this point, at least this fight, for Baloo. Baloo going to push hard. I mean, this massive hand cannoneers for Demu is largely unprotected, and I think he has to back away. Demu once again trying to push, but it feels like not enough siege to take the game fully in its entirety. And Baloo, he's pushing hard. Trying to trickle in some cavalry there, Demu. Has to back away. I feel like the army composition here for Baloo is just so strong, right? Limitani, they tank against the cavalry so well. The Streltsy behind them, it's hard for Demu to get on top of them. He tries to, but he's not being able to. Two Siphon coming in again for Baloo to take out even more infrastructure. I think that was a big difference in the two pushes, right? The Siphon got so much more value at taking down infrastructure. Took down a keep, took down 3 siege workshops. Demu without trebuchet didn't achieve all that much. Limitani, maybe just extend a little bit too much there. Needs to make sure he narrows the gap for angles. Yeah, this is key. Getting this wall up is so strong for Baloo. He needs to make sure these cavalry don't get in, but they might just anyway. Limitani might cut them off, but he can't afford these raids, because it's not so much the value that Demu will get from villager kills. That's not the key bit of detail. It's the fact that this static army, infantry, they can't afford to just be having to put out fires at home. They've got to be together as one cohesive force and push out. But if they're having to be distracted like this, it makes things very difficult to be able to mount a good response on the front lines. He didn't get the walls up in time, and unfortunately, unless he sends more villagers, they won't go up at all. And he's doing just that. It's a smart play. It's definitely the way to do it. But as you can see, he's having to pull a couple of Limitani away, and he's got to stem the bleeding of these villagers. 100 villagers lost so far in the game. He's engaging again once more. Demu with a large man-at-arm mass. That's actually kind of concerning. Like, Limitani will tank, but they kind of need to tank for the Streltsy to do their work. It feels like the Streltsy are the main show stealers here. They're the ones that are going to win the fight there for Baloo and the Byzantines. Limitani just being sacrificed, really. They're trying to tank on the front lines as best they can, but just sheer numbers is looking overwhelming. Baloo should be okay here. In the south part of this fight, though, man-at-arms are getting good hits. Streltsy are starting to collapse on them, though. Siphon going to tank a little bit, and he should win this and clean this up. On the east side, just going to keep an eye on it. Again, nothing much happening. Down in the center of the map, again, not much else. Everything focused on this western portion of the map. And Baloo starting to gain momentum. Like, take a look at the resources. He's got 8,000 food in the bank almost. It just shows you the powerhouses of those olive groves. It's incredibly strong, and getting the olive oil with it. Now, there is a keep there. This is a really sustained push, I've got to say, by Baloo. Look at this. He's carving up the map once again. Getting the stone wall. This is so strong. This is actually what separates a lot of the high elo players from the rest. Like, when you get map position, map control, make sure you solidified it. Because you might potentially be pushed back. And if you get pushed back and you don't have anything to stem that bleeding, it resets you right to the beginning again. And it's very difficult to push back again. Speaking of push back, well, the Limitani being pushed back. A couple of those dragon gilded archers with incendiary arrows. Streltsy on the back line, Limitane tanking on the front, Cyrosiphon making their way forward to try and take down that keep, giving demu a problem to deal with. That's what you want to do if you're Baloo. Make sure demu has some problems to deal with. He's pushing back. He's been pushed back so much, Byzantines. Had to play in his base for so long, when all of a sudden he's starting to make a way forward, and you got to feel demu, like the momentum is in the way of the Byzantines right now. Can he do it? For a long period of time in the game, demu had the ascendancy, he had the positioning, but he just wasn't able to finish out the game. The Byzantines' defense had been strong. Streltsy, a couple of horsemen there, trying to get around on the Streltsy. You won't be able to make too much of it. Look at this, great play by Baloo, peeling a couple of those Limitane just to protect him from the south attack. They do break away, but I don't think he minds those horsemen at the end of the day, as long as he keeps his army compact and secured. When you have a massive infantry army like this, you've got to keep them together, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's pushing forward once again. Now Dragon Archer's going to be trying focusing down on as many Limitane as possible. Streltsy numbers getting quite scary, burning down another keep. More Cyrosiphon coming in from the east side. And if they get on top of that keep, this could be an issue. Does he have emergency repairs? I'm not so sure. Streltsy, though, picking apart those archers. And we do see a couple of horsemen back in the main base. But again, the defender's advantage. He should be able to deal with that. This is the main focus of the fight. He's bleeding a couple of villages back home, but Baloo should be okay to deal with that in the end. The keep will go down. 4 Cyrosiphons burning that keep to the ground, and there's not much that's left there, I feel, there for demu. How does he stem this bleeding, this flow of the Byzantine army? The Streltsy number is looking stressful to deal with. Gilded Archer still going further forward, getting a couple of traders here, trying to get that gold income. Has actually got a pretty decent amount of gold income in the bank. It's got about 12 traders, which is not too terrible, but again, it comes down to the fact that Baloo has 4 relics, right? The population efficiency on that is really strong. 111 villagers killed by demu, but he hasn't been able to kill out the game. Baloo still burning his way forward. Large army, 91 versus 71, and this is looking tricky for demu, I've got to say. Now, the thing is, keep it a detail, by the way, that the Limitane are deploying their shields. This actually makes them a lot slower to move, a lot slower to attack speed, but it gives them a buffering against range damage by 50%. That is not to be underestimated. When they're acting as a front meat shield like this, it allows the Streltsy to do what they do best, and that is gun down their opponents. Manatarm's going to try and tank there for the Order of the Dragon and demu, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough. Gilded Archers behind them. Cyrosiphon, they keep pushing on, taking the key critical infrastructure around them. And this is the difference that was made by the Byzantine push versus the Order of the Dragon. Baloo playing this well. Limitane, they're such a strong meat shield, even against ranged units. The Order of the Dragon struggling, and the trade's going to be cut off here. Going to be burning down the production buildings. The barracks will go down. Where does the Order of the Dragon draw the line? Can he stop this? It's a bit of a death push. That seems seemingly impossible to stop. Limitane just tanking so much, right? And it's a trash unit ultimately. They don't cost any gold. Makes them strong at what they do. They're going to... Yeah, take a look at this. These Limitane are being forced... They're forcing the Gilded Archers back. They're being sacrificed for the greater good, the greater cause. Allows the Cyrosiphon to take out infrastructure. And if he loses Palace of Swabia, beyond that, it becomes very difficult for the Byzantines to lose this game, I've got to say, because demu won't be able to boot back if he loses villages. And he might just. Going to lose a stable. Behind all this, pretty much relatively equal eco, I got to say. Wait, has he got something there? No, just palisade walls. I thought for a second, sometimes you get a cheeky tower. Baloo doesn't do that. He goes straight for the juggler. 93 villagers versus 90. It does allow population space there for demu to get some military on the field. And this is probably the last stand, maybe you feel. Archer's trying to focus on the Streltsy in the back. You can see that. Definite push for that. demu needs to take down those Streltsy on the back line if they can. But as they do that, the Limitane taking the front. But take a look at the Gilded Lance Connector. Absolutely mopping things up. The Lance Connector. Such a dangerous unit for the Order of the Dragon. And he's pushing this back all of a sudden. And now we have to reset. But behind this, did Baloo get those static defenses? Did he get the walls? He got a couple. So who will maintain a little bit of control? But once again, maybe demu. Is he going to push this back even again? A crazy game of Age of Empires 4. I gotta say, this is probably one of the best games I've seen in a long time. Limitane about to dive in a little bit. Doesn't have the shield wall just yet. You can tell from the movement speed. But he might just deploy that once again. If he can build up number Streltsy, he does have a healthy number still. He's going to need more than 16, but don't forget, he can get them just for olive oil. I think the Byzantine late game, I think we're slowly finding out what the powerhouse for the Byzantines is. It's definitely the late game. Streltsy going to try and take out as many landscapes as possible. Landscapes are going to take out a lot of Limitani if they get close and personal like they are. Limitani need to hold. Streltsy numbers starting to dwindle though. That will just leave the Gilded Archers particular good. This from the south. The horsemen, they ride in for the Byzantines. Going to chase down the Gilded Archers. Going to be collapsing right on top of them. And that's a problem for Demu. He needs to deal with that somehow. He does have a couple of dragon hand cannoneers. But the horde continue. The Byzantines starting to overrun Demu once again. Not for the first time in the game, but this game could go either way. It's really starting to mass up numbers. Gilded Archers for Demu though. They know no fear. The Dragon Archers, they've made different. They start to head further forward. But you've got to say the counter for those Archers will be those Horsemen. And the Byzantines, they're going to ride in and take advantage of this. The Archers relatively unprotected. No meat shield, no lance connector there. Only man-at-arms. Man-at-arms will deal well against Horsemen. They're not in good enough numbers. A couple of lance connector are there. The Horsemen diving right on top of this. Demu, can he hold? Streltsy trying to get on top of this as well, but they're kind of a bit slow to the fight. A couple of Varangian guards being added in by the Byzantines, which I love because that's going to be a great meat shield. He's spending the gold, he's spending what he has. The Horsemen going straight for the Dragon Archers. And if the Dragon Archers fall, you feel like, well, the Order of the Dragon might just fall. This is a menacing army once again for the Byzantines. 81 military versus 63, and while Baloo, he's stuck on 71 villages. He may have been raided, but I don't think we can focus on that just now because there's so much action forward. Maybe he deleted some villages. There's always quite a possibility of that because he has a large bank of resources, which is now being pumped into military. He continues the push. I'd just like to say one thing, just one detail. It feels bad, man, that he didn't get the Sacred Site. It may have changed the game, at least in terms of dynamic and where he's pressuring. In any case, Demu is with man-at-arms on the front line. Varangian guards and Limitani are going to tank with them, but look at the numbers of the Byzantine horde from the back. The Horsemen are going to be diving in on those archers right through. Varangian guards going to be trying chopping them up as well. This is looking like a bit of a death push once again. We've said it before though, and it didn't work. So who knows if this is going to be the end of the Order of the Dragon. It quite possibly could be. The numbers are starting to look a little bit overwhelming, and there is a trebuchet as well. We talk about in these pushes how important having siege is to deal critical damage and an outpost going on that trade. This could be it, ladies and gentlemen, because that solidifies a bit of dominance over that trade route, and that's going to be difficult for the Order of the Dragon to get gold. Don't forget, 4 relics is in the bag for the Byzantines. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Demu taps out. What a great game of Age of Empires for a total back and forth one. Probably the best that I've seen in a long time. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and if you did, make sure to give the video a thumbs up on YouTube. Take care, and see you next time.